So we're in The Hague, the Netherlands, at the SDN and NFVi World Congress. I'm here with Aykut from Turkcell and Angelo from Affirmed Networks. Welcome everybody to today's chat.
Thank you.
Aykut, Turkcell is on a virtualization journey with its network. Can you tell us a little bit about why Turkcell is going down this route and where you are in that process at the moment?
All right. So Ray, we started our network virtualization program last year because we feel that the network virtualization was knocking our doors already. So in the company we had different solutions that is running on different NFVi silos that we call, and we thought that we should put a roadmap for us to actually align these solutions with a centralized strategy. Okay. So then we started our network virtualization program and started to work on setting up a common NFVi platform where we can start to migrate our services on top of it.
Okay, and at what stage are you at now? Have you finished that process, or is it still ongoing?
So in the program there is multiple projects that is going on simultaneously. One is a virtual CPU project that is still going on in the tender phase. One was this what we so-called unified NFVi platform project. And in this project we finalized our tender. So we decided to work with Affirmed. Okay. And now we are in deployment state of that solution.
Okay. And are there any specific applications that you are looking to virtualize in your commercial network first?
Yes. So we started with our GI LAN services with our CGN and the DPI vendors. Okay. We will start these common NFVi and these solutions on top of it. And the next phase we are talking about the EPC and other solution as well, our PCRF, our VoLTE, so we have big plans.
Okay. So in the past year, what have you learnt about virtualization from the operator perspective, not only from a technology point of view, but from a company and a transformation point of view?
One of the things that we learned that we should somehow start as soon as possible, because the benefit of the NFVi itself is coming from to be able to use this common NFVi platform and solution as a common resource. And as soon as you start investing on this common resource instead of the legacy one, then you have a pool that you can use for different needs. And then let's say, for example, I will give you a specific example. We have a GI LAN services that we like very much, but it was not scaling well. And we decided to switch the vendor of this GI LAN service. And what we did was actually using the same hardware, so it is already an NFVi solution, and put another software on top of it. And we approximately save like $30 million for 3-year investment because we are able to use the same hardware and because it was already virtualized. Okay. So this is why we think that we should able to virtualize as soon as possible, as much as possible.
Okay, that's interesting. So you mentioned you're working with Affirmed, yes. But I understand it's more than just a technology supplier relationship. Sure. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Now, in this world, the NFVi world, we are trying to select best of breed for each platform. So I have a different hardware vendor, I have a different VIM provider, I have a different VNF solution. So there is a gap about this end-to-end responsibility. And the solution for this gap that we found is a strong system integrator that has a vast experience about these solutions. So one of the reasons probably that we choose Affirmed was about this experience that they have, because we had different combinations of the solution that should be integrated and supported somehow, and Affirmed seems to be providing the knowledge that seems to be fitting on different layer of integration with different vendors.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a great point to turn to Angela and find out the Affirmed perspective. At this point, can you tell us from your perspective, how you've been working with Turkcell and what services and technologies you've been providing?
That would be great. First, I want to thank Turkcell for the opportunity to work with them. It's been a great experience so far. One of the things that we hear a lot about in the market right now is this idea of organizational change, right? So a lot of these organizations, our operator customers, for the first time are being exposed to virtualization. And so one of the challenges for them is how do they get their internal teams up to speed on this technology? And this role of systems integration that Aykut mentioned is a great example of that. How do you bring different best-of-breed vendors together and fine-tune that application for ultimate performance and the resiliency to meet the SLAs that Turkcell talked about? That's been a big deal for us. And operators don't want to wait. They shouldn't wait, right? If they wait 2 years, till their organizations are ready, that's going to be too late. They can't take advantage of the benefits that they need to right now. Okay. That's where Affirmed comes in. We come in, not only do we help with systems integration, but we can also help with managed services. We actually embed our engineers within the organization to help them understand, how do I troubleshoot the network? How do I measure performance, quality of experience? And so you can see this as almost like a build, operate, transfer type of model. Okay. So we work with them when we take them through that journey. Okay, and that sounds like a great opportunity for the Affirmed team to be learning about how operators are going through that journey to virtualization, be able to take that experience out to other engagements with other operators. Is that fair to say? Is there lessons to be learned from all the engagements you have? Absolutely, absolutely, and there's different areas where operators need help. Some of it is that DevOps model. They like to build an integration lab up front to do the testing and validation and roll that out into the field. We have some great experience with that. Some of it is the managed services I mentioned. Some of it is just picking out, if you're trying to get a certain type of performance from a given application, what does that architecture underneath have to look like? It is very different in the telco world. When you're talking about enterprise or web applications, that common platform underneath could look the same. Right. But when you're trying to run a packet core or GI LAN services, that architecture is going to look different. You can't really have a web service and a packet core running on the same common infrastructure. It has to be different. And those are some good lessons that we've been able to take to operators. Okay, excellent. And so, I mean, Turkcell is just one of the many significant operators you're working with. Can you tell us a little bit about Affirmed's sort of broader work in the global communications industry, and also what you're hearing right now from those operators? What's really getting them excited about the virtualization story now that we're years into the trajectory? Well, you know what's great? We have over 60 deployments worldwide right now, and NFVi is not something where people are still investigating, right? It's prime time. There's multiple millions of subscribers running on these networks, and operators are now looking forward in terms of services and revenue growth and ideas like network slicing. Initially, I'd almost say it was phase one or stage one of virtualization was really about reducing the CapEx and OpEx. What we've been talking about with operators a lot recently, and here at this show as well, is really this idea of how do I create new services quickly? And there are three things that come into play with that. Automation is one, analytics is another, because you want the analytics to help you understand what services to create and make sure the services are running the way they should be. Slicing is another. A lot of people talk about slicing in terms of a 5G capability. You can actually slice your networks right now. And the great thing about slicing is you're optimizing that service and the cost associated with that service for a targeted segment of the market. So for an enterprise customer doing IoT, for example, smart meters, versus a residential service for mobile broadband, they look very different. You don't want to put the same cost model of a meter reader with a residential home. Sure. And slicing comes into play. And I can see those have been three big areas operators are really looking at. They're ahead now. They're past the cost story, and it's really about that revenue growth story. Okay, excellent. So a great mix of cultural transformation, technology evolution, and business cases that are actually being put through and coming to reality in networks. So Angela, thanks very much. Aykut, thanks very much. Great story. Thank you.